Hi FlossTube, I'm Emma. Welcome to my stitching journal. This is a channel where I talk about cross stitch. Today I'm doing Whip Parade. It's my very first video and the most whips I've ever had at one time. I had filmed one of these things an entire year ago, and then my computer didn't want to participate in exporting, so I kept putting it off, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Well, we're finally at later, an entire year later, but, you know, that's just life. It's not a ton. I have 14 whips, so not a lot compared to, like, what you might typically see on FlossTube, but a lot for me, personally. I tend not to keep a lot of whips at once. I tend to kind of try to start and finish projects in a shorter time frame, but I am relaxing a little bit on that kind of thing. And I've been starting some projects that are just going to take a little bit longer to stitch, so that's just kind of life. Okay, I'm gonna do this in order of oldest to newest whip, and I'm gonna do my best to do a good amount of showing projects and talking about them. It's my first time really doing this, so I'm kind of like, we'll see what happens. So my first project is in this project that I made. This was following the Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch tutorial. This beautiful, fun Grinch pattern. And this is Christmas Village Ornaments by Dimensions. It's a gold collection kit. I started this on August 10th of 2023. It is obviously my oldest whip, and it also seems to be the slowest going for me, just personally. I tend, like, I don't know. It seems like I've gotten a very small amount done in the amount of time since I started it, but that's okay. So this is where I'm at. So I finished all of the stitching, besides the back stitch and French knots and whatnot, so all of the cross stitching on the first two, and then I'm working on the third one. So this is an 18 count ivory Aida, and it's Dimensions, so, you know, you've got a whole variety of number of strands that you're working with, that you're stitching with. So at some points it's like I'm using 3 or 4 strands of floss, and it gets to be really difficult. So I found that I really have to be in the mood to stitch on these in order to work on them, but that's why it's going as slow as it is. But I'm not mad about it. I'm not pushing myself to work on it when I don't feel like working on it. That's kind of been my motto for a while now, is just to stitch what I want to, because otherwise I will burn myself out and then I won't feel like stitching on anything, and that's not any fun either. Okay, my next whip, when I'm not working on it, lives in this project bag, which was also made by me using the Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch tutorial. It's just this floral print. This was the first one I ever did, so it's a little, you can see it's a little crooked here, but, you know, that's just life. It's good. I made it. That's what matters. And I've been working on that one this week, so she's living in this Q-Snap. This is Angel of Hope by Lavender and Lace, and I started her on March 2nd of 2024 for my birthday. And I'm stitching on a 32 count pink sand linen by Witchelt. And I'm just doing 2/2, using the called for. It's all DMC, and then there's one Petite Treasure braid that I'll go in and do all the gold afterwards. So that's like all of the spacing you see in here is gold in the hem of the dress. But I've been just going ham. I pulled this out again last week. I had done all of this, you know, the blue sash and all of this bottom part, and I've just been going up here, and I've been stitching like crazy. I've been in a mood where I don't want to do anything else with this project, so I'm like, I just want to stitch it all the time. I don't need to sleep, I just want to stitch, you know, so it's in a dangerous territory, but that's also a fun feeling to have. I love being in that kind of, having those kinds of feelings about stitching, because I would much prefer that to not wanting to really stitch on anything. But I just have to remember to take care of myself and not listen to my impulses when it comes to that, because it's not good for me. Okay. My next whip lives in this Loon project bag from Evertotes. Now, you'll see why this project lives in here in a second, but this is called Wondering Moment. It is a kit by Dimensions. It's from the 80s, and it's a no count kit. It's just 16 count or 14 count Aida. I think it's 14. And it's got, you know, the artwork printed on it, and then it's got all the spacing for you to put stitches in. So it is definitely out of my comfort zone. I'm very much somebody who likes the counting part of stitching. I'm a math person. That's not too surprising to me to learn that, you know, I actually really enjoy the counting aspect, but I'll pull this out every once in a while when I don't feel like really thinking about where I have to put stitches, because now the rest of the Loon is all one color. It's all that black and gray. Can I hold it? The rest of the Loon is all this black and gray blend. So there's no thinking involved with the rest of it, so pull this out when I want to work on it. I started this one on October 23rd of 2024. And I've been trying to figure out a good way to fold it so that it'll fit in here without creating new creases, but I can't without. My next whip just lives in one of these little plastic bags. I know a lot of people get these off of Amazon. I've just got a 3-pack at Michael's. They had a voucher to use. I was like, well, don't need floss today, so let's get those. Why not? And this is I Voted by Snailfish's Stitches. So it's a freebie that they released before the election last year, and I started it on November 5th, 2024, and I was having a great time, definitely having a great time anxiously watching election results and hockey at the same time. So anyways, this is I reworked the pattern to fit onto one of these little wooden ornament things from Michael's. It's 11 count, so I'm using 4 strands of floss, which when the first time I worked on it, the first election day, I was trying to tuck my tails in underneath using a size 24 needle, and that was a nightmare. So this year I kept a size 28 needle out specifically to use to tuck the strands under when I was done with stitching, when I was finishing off a thread. So this was really adding to the mess that I was dealing with on election night. of 2024 because I was watching my hockey team lose, trying to bury stitches under something that was not wanting to allow that to happen, and then also watching election results come in. So it was eventful, but not in a fun way. But I got it out again this year. We had some local elections, so I pulled it out that day to work on when we came back from voting. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun thing to have around that I can, you know, something to pull out on a specific day, and it'll get done, and you know, I think it'll take like a couple more election days to finish. So we'll see. Maybe by the time I finish it, we'll have a new president. Who knows? So that is all of my whips that are still remaining that I came into 2025 with. So the rest of them I've started this year, which is only a fraction of what I've started this year because I finished a good chunk of what I started this year too. But first off, I have my finish tracker, which is just on a 16 count white Aida. You're only really seeing the bottom half of it right now. I think there's some pictures of the top half on Instagram. I don't know for sure. It's just kind of, it lives in here until it's done. I don't want to take the frame apart, and I don't want to take it out. So, and this I just do using my leftover floss from a project. When I finish it, I will take whatever is what I consider to be leftover floss, which is anything that isn't a full strand, so to a full length of what I keep my threads at and like to have when I'm starting a project. And I don't like to keep anything shorter than that in my storage, just because I find that it gets to be really messy, and it just kind of just doesn't work for me. So I use up whatever is left of the colors, and that's a good way to get a little bit of, you know, show a little bit of the projects. So like this is color palette from Butterfly Bouquet by Sprouting Lupine, which I finished this year, and this is from a Mill Hill kit that I did. The largest section on this one is definitely going to be from 324 by Works by ABC. I finished that this year, and so I've got all 324 DMC colors into this thing, which took a lot of time. It took a lot of time, a lot of patience, but I did eventually get all of that put into here, and I've even finished a few projects since. So, but this isn't done yet. I have a couple more projects that I'm planning. Here, I'll give you a closer. Yeah, that's very helpful. I have a couple more projects that I'm hoping to finish before the year's up. So this might make an appearance in my finish parade, but I do not know yet. It will make an appearance in my finish parade, because I'm not going to film that until I have a sure idea of if I'm fully done for 2025 or not. But I started this on January 11th of this year, with some ornaments that I had that I had intended to finish last December, but I was busy making a quilt, so I was rather preoccupied, so I didn't get some of the stitching done that I had planned to. So those bled into January, and that's what I started with down here. So, and it's just, like I said, I'm using leftover floss, and I use dice to determine what path I'm going to stitch in, which is, it's hard to explain, but I think that kind of, you know, that's as much sense as it's going to make unless you see me do it. So, okay, my next project lives in just this mesh bag. I got this, I have another one that's black that I just got from, like, in 2023 from just in, like, the swimsuit stuff at Target, like, forever ago. Because until then I was just using, like, Ziploc baggies, and I wanted something, but I didn't really... The project bag bug hadn't hit me yet, so I was just using this. And it's not in there right now because I've been working on it. This is Weaving a Place by the Craft Experimentalist. I love this piece so much. I've been just geeked out about it. That's all I have to say. Okay, I started this March 7th of 2025. I'm using all the called for DMC on 32 count platinum linen by Zweigart. Obviously, the backstitching is like the biggest part of this. It builds that texture in there, and I'm so happy to be at the point where that's what I'm working on with it. This was a lot of stitches. I'm happy to do them. It's beautiful, and it wasn't, you know, like, it's not like it was difficult. I wasn't, just, it took a while. It's a while of doing the same kind of motifs, so it was a lot of, like, work on it for a while and then put it away, and work on it for a while and put it away, and work on it for a while and put it away. Until eventually, I got to this point, and it's kind of hard. It's become one of those projects where, like, oh, I don't want to finish it. I don't want it to be done. I really like this, you know. I want to work on it forever, but I do also want to finish it. I want to have it complete. And this is definitely one I could finish by the end of the year if I put some time into it, but we'll see. Angel of Hope has been taking up the entirety of my stitchy brain, so I haven't really wanted to work on anything else for a while, so we'll see what happens. Alright, my next whip lives in this project bag from Evertotes. I got this bag specifically for this project because it has a lot of stuff. It's not, you know, I don't have everything in here right now because I haven't been actively working on it, so I have the threads stored elsewhere, but this is Violet Patch Mandala. Gotta unravel it, get it the right way up. This is Chatelaine. So this is my first Chatelaine. I started it on April 30th of 2025. This is a 32 count charcoal gray linen by Zweigart. I had seen, so I had joined the Chatelaine support group on Facebook, and I had seen somebody at some point forever ago was stitching this piece on this color fabric, but didn't list what the fabric was, and they, like, the post was locked down, and it was like, it was old enough that you couldn't comment on it anymore, and so I was like, well, I guess I gotta hope for the best. I'll figure it out at some point, and eventually I found the gray. So I love how vibrant all of the colors look on this gray. I am so happy with it. I have absolutely love working on this. I kind of stopped because I finished all of the, like, regular cross stitches and specialty stitching of everything that I had. But I was, you know, I can see I was working on the 1/1, but that was really hard on my eyes. I don't have any magnification right now, and just with the dark fabric, it was going to be really difficult. So I had put it away, and then I also, there's this, if I can show you, the detailing at the top up here, that back stitching, or it's, whatever, you can tell. It's at the top of the square and not along any of the other ones. There's like these little plant kind of backstitching that I haven't quite decided yet how I feel about. Because I feel like the floss, the silk, just blends into the fabric a ton, and I can't decide if I'm okay with it just kind of blending or if I want it to contrast a bit more so that it's visible, because it's those same kind of like little planty details throughout the whole piece, and I haven't made up my mind yet how I feel about having it just kind of look just kind of muddy, or if I want it to be something that's really visible. So we will see what I end up doing. But this is just all of the called for flosses. Okay. Next up, just lives in one of these for now, is Lily by Stacey Nash. Now, I've finished her. She's all done. And I did a floss conversion. So this is all, it's mostly Gentle Art, and there's, I think, 2 Classic Colorworks. But I kept the colors as close to the called for as I could, but I chose a more vibrant green. So both, like, all of the greens are a little bit more vibrant than the called for. But I just, look at all those little eyelets. That is another change I made. This was supposed to just be all of this pink into the bottom, but I didn't have enough of the pink for her dress to do all the way, so I copied the motif from the waist into the bottom, and I love how it looks. I think it is just the perfect little customization for her. But I still have to do her little scroll, the little alphabet, and that's all 1/1, so I haven't started it yet, obviously, but so that's a thing. I started this on October 9th, 2025, and I stitched on a 32 count vintage country Milka linen by Zweigart, and that's what I'm gonna do the scroll on too. I haven't gotten there yet, so we're in the midst. Okay, my next project lives in just this little black mesh, supposed to be for swim stuff bag, and this is Fish and Ships by Long Dog Samplers. I'm stitching this on a 32 count navy linen by Zweigart, and I'm doing this gradient minus this bottom really darker color. So I'm going from white to blues from top to bottom. So this is just my first color, the B5200. And I started this on October 10th of 2025. So I'll pull this out again when I want to do some more monochromatic stitching. I think it's not something that I've really done a lot of, and I found that I really had to be in the mood to do it. But I'm really excited to see how it turns out. So I'll pull that out again for sure next year. This is one I had been thinking about starting for my birthday in March, but I don't know, I had gotten it out and I was prepping everything, and I just really wasn't feeling it. I wasn't really feeling like stitching anything at that point. So I didn't want to start something that I wasn't actually really wanting to start, you know. Again, allowing myself to have periods of time where I don't want to stitch and just finding something else to do. Okay. My next whip was released at Market this year. I'm going to show you my threads before I show you the project, even though they're a little messy. They're a little messy right now. This is Disagree by Rebel Stitcher Designs. And I picked these colors for it. I still need to... Oh. Sorry, I just realized I had another color I was meant to get that I didn't in the last trip to Michael's that I took. Well, that's disappointing. But I'm using some DMC teals and then Wrought Iron by Gentle Arts. I used this in another project that I stitched this year, and I really liked how it was like kind of a very bluish black. And I thought that would work well for this. And my primary color is this silk from Silken Colors, and it's Papyrus Leaf, which I am absolutely geeked about. I love this color. I love teals. I'm a big fan. So, but I had an oopsie with this one. Initially, when I put my little gridding in, I added 10 stitches into the middle. So I started this corner 10 stitches further this way than it was supposed to be. But I didn't want to take out all of these motifs because they're all in the right spot. Like they're, you know, relative to each other. But then I started this one based on over here. I counted from this side in, and then I was like, oh, great. When I finished it, when I reached a point, I was like, that space looks a little too big. So I fixed the grid, and then I put it away because I didn't want a frog. But I started this on November 15th, 2025, and it's on a 32 count Miracle Mint linen by Silk Weaver, which I picked out at Welcome Stitchery to go with the silk that I had picked. And that I just kind of did mapped out the colors in Max Stitch. I found that for my own sanity, I will put any of my paper charts into Max Stitch. I will like personally chart them from paper into the digital version that I can then put into Pattern Keeper. It makes it easy for changing some things, but also for counting stitches in Pattern Keeper. I used to count them by hand on my paper charts. At the end of the day, when I was finished stitching, I would count how many stitches I did. I cannot imagine going back to doing that. And it's nice for instances like this where I kind of want to change the colors in something, and I can kind of see a little mock-up of how it's going to look and see if I can get a good spacing around everything, if not spacing, but you know, like balance of where I put what colors. So really enjoyed kind of doing that with this one, and I'm excited to get back to it. Not excited to do the frocking, but such is life. Okay, next up, lives in this project bag that I picked up from my old LNS Stitchville that closed in 2024. And it's just got birds. It's got cardinals, and I think it's got chickadees, but I think there's some variations of, like, I don't know if these are just artistic license or if they're just variations that we don't have here in Minnesota, or that at least I've never seen locally. So I don't know exactly what birds are on here. These kind of look like chickadees, but not quite like chickadees. Do you know what I mean? Not like the chickadees I tend to see, but, you know, unmistakable cardinal and holly, and, you know, very wintry. But in here lives Church on Holly Hill by Erin Elizabeth Designs. This is a complete overhaul of the pattern. This came out at Market in 2024, Nashville. That's as much as I have so far. I've got a door and some of the white surrounding the door. I started this on November 17th, 2025, and this is on a 16 count Winter's Nightfall, Ada by Seraphim. this was one that this pattern is one that my mom really likes. And so we did just all of the color changes to match what she was thinking of, because it reminds her of the church in near where her parents lived. So she was, it's very small towny kind of nostalgia vibes for her. So I made some changes to the colors so that it would match more to kind of what she's envisioning. And then in the snowflakes in the sky, I'm doing a few of them in some different metallics that I have. So I think we can do some like teals and silver and whatnot. That's something that I'll really figure out when I get to it, but I know that at some point there's going to be some metallics going into it. So now we are into what I've started in this month. First up is a Mill Hill kit. This is a drum. This is as far as I've gotten, so from, I don't know, 1 or 2 days of stitching. I think it was just one. This is a 14 count antique brown perforated paper, and I'm using 3 strands of DMC, using all the kit materials, as I tend to do with the Mill Hills. I really, I wasn't huge on the perforated paper the first time that I worked with it, but I've definitely gotten more comfortable with it the more that I've done. So, and that just lives in a little quart Ziploc bag because I'm out of project bags, and it fits in there. And this is one I was planning to finish before the year is up, so I wasn't anticipating it staying like that for a long time. And I started that on December 4th of 2025. And then my last 2 just kind of live together. They're just stuffed in here. This is a kit that was included in the Adam Hart cross stitch mystery box, the most recent one, which I was in that this year. I really enjoyed. I have so many floss drops now, which is a little messy because I don't have a use for all of them at the moment, but I have a lot of them, which I'm happy about. I really like the Adam Hart floss drops. So the one that came with is this sweater. I'm not quite done with it yet, obviously. It's just a little tiny bit left of that pinky red. And these are using the DMC Pearl Cotton so I have 3 colors. 2 of them came with the kit. So it came with this red and the green, and I just picked up white from Michaels because I drafted up another way to use one of the wooden things that I bought from Michaels that I bought way too many of before I tried stitching on them and realized I didn't really like it all that much. So, and this, I'm just doing little 10 stitches. I'm mostly doing like a basket weave stitch, just kind of messy, whatever I feel like on the back of it. And I did like I was going for kind of sweatery design on it, which will definitely be easier to see once I finish it, but just something to I don't know. I wanted to find a way to use a bit more, to use the pearl cotton that came with this, because I was like, well, it came with full skeins, and I was like, well, I want to find something to do with it. I don't want to just waste it, and I know I can't really use it at any of my regular cross stitch, and like, well, the thickness might work well to do with this, and it's a bit easier to wrangle than 4 strands of DMC floss. It looks a lot neater too. So, I'm hoping to finish both of these by the end of the year, and I started them both on December 8th of 2025. So, and they've just been shoved into this little bag that the kit came in, and that's where they live for now. Okay, that is all of my whips that I have currently. There's 14. I think I said that at the beginning. but it's 14 of them. It's a lot more than I'm used to carrying at one time, but I'm happy with it. I'm not upset about having a ton. I'm not, and you know, it's, again, a ton is relative. For my personal stitching, it's a lot of whips for me. So I'm enjoying having a good variety to pick from to stitch on. There was a while where I just had like a few projects going at once, and it was kind of like, I want something different to stitch, you know? So, anyways, I will be doing a finish parade. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna do like everything I finished before now, or just one for 2025, or if I'm gonna do 2 separate ones or whatnot. There's a lot. I have, with this last ornament that I started, that is now my 50th start, which is crazy to think about. I've only been stitching since, I think 2022 is when I started. So we're coming up on 4 years in the spring, but that is just hard for me to believe. I can't believe it's been that long and that I've done that much in that time. Anyways, if you watched all the way to this part of the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If there's anything that I missed, I will try my best to put details into the description. But if there's anything that I missed, if you have any questions, leave me a comment or shoot me a DM on Instagram. Probably a more reliable way to get a response from me. I will try to respond to comments. Here, if you know me, you know that I'm usually not the most responsive, but I will try my best. And on Instagram, I'm more likely to be responsive, especially if, you know, you're asking questions about what things I'm using. Speaking of Instagram, I post rather regularly on there, but most regularly to my stories. I will post my daily stitching onto my Instagram stories. And my Instagram is just the same username as it is here, m.stitchingjournal. And so I'll post my daily stitching to my stories. I think one of my favorite parts about that page is that I have story highlights for each of my projects, except for my finish trackers, because I don't, whatever, but for each of my individual projects. So if you wanted to go and look at, you know, from start to finish of like my daily progress on anything, I've got all the way back to when I started my Instagram in 2023, I believe. So I got quite like a good amount of stitching posted to there. And I try to post regularly otherwise, but it's kind of like, I'll post like a recap at the end of the month of like what I've been doing, or I'll try to post if I start or finish something. Sometimes those are pretty delayed. Usually they're pretty delayed. I tend to just kind of get sucked into other things and then like, oh yeah, I should post about that. I started that, you know. But anyways, I'm hoping to see you again soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day.